Welcome to News Hour by DLC, your one stop destination for the latest and most impactful updates from the legal world. From landmark rulings to policy shifts shaping the justice system, DLC brings you in depth coverage, expert insights, and analysis that matter. Stay informed, stay ahead because in law, every verdict counts. Today is 10th March 2025 and we bring you news that matters. The first news for today is as follows. Supreme Court quashes preventive detention order for alleged gold smuggler. The Supreme Court has annulled a preventive detention order against an individual accused of being a key member of a gold smuggling syndicate, citing the detaining authority's failure to consider bail conditions previously set by a magistrate. A bench comprising Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia and Justice K. Vinod Chandran observed that while the detention order mentioned the bail conditions imposed by the magistrate, it lacked any discussion on whether these conditions were adequate to prevent the detainee from engaging in further smuggling activities. The court emphasized that the detaining authority should have evaluated the sufficiency of these conditions before deciding on preventive detention. The court stated, when bail was granted by the jurisdictional court, that too on conditions the detaining authority ought to have examined whether they were sufficient to curb the evil of further indulgence in identical activities, which is the very basis of the preventive detention ordered. This ruling underscores the necessity for detaining authorities to thoroughly assess existing judicial measures before resorting to preventive detention, ensuring that such actions are justified and in compliance with legal standards. Next news. Supreme Court Collegium recommends appointment of 7 advocates as judges of Rajasthan High Court. The Supreme Court Collegium has recommended the appointment of 7 advocates as judges of the Rajasthan High Court. In its meeting held on the 5th of March 2025, the Collegium approved the following names: Anand Sharma, Sunil Beniwal, Sandeep Taneja, Mukesh Rajpurohit, Sandeep Shah, Baljinder Singh Sandhu Sheetal Mirdha. This decision aims to bolster the judicial capacity of the Rajasthan High Court, addressing the need for a more efficient judicial process. The recommended appointments are now pending approval from the President of India. This move follows the Collegium's earlier recommendation in December 2024 to appoint 3 judicial officers Chandra Shekhar Sharma, Pramil Kumar Mathur, and Chandra Prakash Shrimali as judges of the same court. The Rajasthan High Court has been operating under its sanctioned strength and these appointments are expected to enhance its fachanag by reducing the backlog of cases and expediting the delivery of justice. The Supreme Court Collegium, led by Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna, plays a crucial role in the appointment of judges to the higher judiciary, ensuring that recommendations are made based on merit and the requirements of the respective courts. Next news. Supreme Court clarifies sentencing guidelines for convictions under both PO Act and IPC. The Supreme Court has clarified that when an individual is convicted under both the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences (POCSO) Act and the Indian Penal Code (IPC) for the same offence, the offender should be sentenced under the provision that prescribes the higher punishment. This decision emphasizes the application of Section 42 of the POCSO Act, which mandates that in cases where an act constitutes an offense under both the PO Act and the IPC, the punishment that is greater in degree should be applied. The court further clarified that Section 42A of the PO Act, which gives overriding effect to the provisions of the PO Act over any other law in case of inconsistencies, pertains to procedural aspects and does not influence determination of the quantum of punishment. Therefore, offenders cannot seek lesser punishment under the PO Act by invoking Section 42A, when the IPC prescribes a higher penalty for the same offense. This ruling underscores the judiciary's commitment to imposing stringent penalties in cases of sexual offenses against children, ensuring that offenders receive the maximum punishment applicable under the law. Next news: Supreme Court advocates require explicit client authorization for court undertakings. The Supreme Court has ruled that advocates must obtain explicit authorization from their clients before providing undertakings to the court, underscoring the fiduciary nature of the lawyer-client relationship. The bench, comprising Justice Pankaj Mithal and Justice Sanjay Karol, emphasized that lawyers act as agents for their clients and must respect their decision-making rights. The court stated, a lawyer-client relationship is fiduciary, and the former is cast in terms of agency of the latter. It is also clear that the lawyer is to respect the decision-making right of the client. It flows from this that any undertaking given to a court cannot be without requisite authority from the client. This ruling arose from a case where the appellants were found guilty of contempt for violating an undertaking given by their counsel, which they claimed was unauthorized. The court noted that the appellants had ample opportunity to contest the undertaking but failed to do so for over 4 years, thereby affirming the High Court's decision holding them in contempt. The judgment reinforces the principle that advocates must adhere strictly to their clients' instructions and cannot act unilaterally without explicit consent, ensuring the integrity or the legal process. Next news: Supreme Court refusal of medical examination by alleged rape victim can lead to adverse inference. The Supreme Court has reaffirmed that if an alleged rape victim refuses to undergo a medical examination, it can result in an adverse inference against her credibility. The court emphasized that such refusal hampers the investigation and may impact the prosecution's case. This ruling came during the court's considerations of an appeal by the state of Himachal challenging a High Court decision that acquitted an accused in a rape case. The case originated in 2007 when the father of the alleged victim filed an FIR claiming that the accused had forcibly engaged in sexual intercourse with his daughter while the parents were away. During the investigation, the alleged victim was initially examined at Regional Hospital, Hamirpur, where she was found uncooperative, leading to an inconclusive assessment regarding sexual intercourse. Subsequently, she was referred to RPMC Hospital in Tanda, Dharamshala, for further evaluation by a gynecologist and psychiatrist. However, her father refused to permit this medical examination. While the trial court convicted and sentenced the accused, the High Court later acquitted him. The Supreme Court noted that the alleged victim and her parents did not fully cooperate with medical personnel, adversely affecting the credibility of their account. Additionally, the mother turned hostile during the trial, and the father provided evasive statements. The Supreme Court also referenced the case of Dola v. State of Haryana 2018, reiterating that refusal to allow a medical examination by an alleged rape victim can lead to negative inferences against her. This judgment underscores the importance of medical examinations in sexual assault investigations and highlights that non-cooperation by the alleged victim can significantly impact the outcome of such cases. Next news: Supreme Court affirms jurisdiction for check dishonor cases at Pais Bank location. The Supreme Court has reaffirmed that complaints under Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act, 1881, pertaining to check dishonor, should be filed in the court having jurisdiction over the local case of the bank branch where the payee maintains an account. The court emphasized that the accused cannot seek the transfer of such cases citing personal inconvenience. This clarification aligns with the 2015 amendment to the Negotiable Instruments Act, which was enacted to resolve jurisdictional ambiguities following the Supreme Court's 2014 judgment in Dashrath Rupsingh Rathod v. State of Maharashtra. The amendment specifies that the appropriate jurisdiction for filing a check dishonor complaint is the court where Pais Bank branch is situated, thereby providing clarity on the matter. The court's decision underscores that the convenience of the accused does not warrant a transfer or jurisdiction in such cases. This ruling aims to streamline the legal process and prevent unnecessary delays in check dishonor proceedings. This judgment reinforces the legislative intent behind the 2015 amendment, ensuring that check dishonor complaints are adjudicated in a consistent and efficient manner. thereby upholding the integrity of financial transactions. Next news: Supreme Court grants bail to former excise official in liquor scam case. The Supreme Court has granted bail to Arun Pati Tripathi, a former special secretary of the excise department implicated in the alleged liquor scam. However, to ensure the ongoing investigation remains unaffected, the court has deferred his release until April 10, 2025. Tripathi was arrested on April 12, 2024, by the Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB in UR. He faces charges under various sections of the Indian Penal Code, including cheating, forgery, and criminal conspiracy, as well as under the Prevention of Corruption Act, 1988. The allegations involve his purported role in a syndicate that collected illegal commissions from liquor suppliers and facilitated the sale of illicit liquor through government-run shops. A bench comprising Justice Abhay Oka and Justice Ujjal Bhuyan noted that Tripathi has been in custody for approximately 11 months, with no immediate prospect of the trial commencing. Acknowledging the state's assertion that the investigation is still ongoing, the court decided to grant bail but postponed his release to April 10 to prevent any potential hindrance to the investigation. The court has imposed specific conditions for Tripathi's bail. He must surrender his passport to the investigating officer. He is required to report to the investigating officer daily at 10 a.m. until the charge sheet is filed. Tripathi is scheduled to appear before the appropriate sessions court on April 10, 2025, where the final bail order will be issued. In related proceedings, the Supreme Court also granted bail to 3 other individuals accused in the liquor scam, under similar conditions to ensure the integrity of the ongoing investigation. And the final news for today is as follows. Allahabad High Court, absence of e-way bill and misdescription of goods indicates tax evasion intent. Allahabad, the 9th of March 2025, the Allahabad High Court has ruled that transporting goods without an accompanying e-way bill and with misdescribed items signifies an intention to evade taxes. The court emphasized that generating an e-way bill after interception does not absolve the taxpayer or liability. The case involved a petitioner who sold 400 bags of areca nuts being transported from Delhi to Nagaur. The goods were intercepted in Mathura at 4:28 a.m. without an e-way bill. One was generated only after interception at 7:36 a.m. Upon inspection, the goods, taxable at 18%, had been taxed at only 5%. The petitioner contended that the driver departed without informing Thamdan that the e-way bill was produced promptly upon realizing the oversight. However, the court noted that the petitioner's business premises were untraceable during inquiries, leading to suo motu cancellation proceedings against the firm. This, coupled with other discrepancies, indicated an intent to evade tax. The court highlighted that per the 14th Amendment of the Wood Goods and Service Tax Rules, 2017, effective from April 1, 2018, it is mandatory for goods in transit to be accompanied by an e-way bill. The court referenced previous judgments, stating that failure to produce an e-way bill during transit establishes an intention to evade tax, and generating the bill post-interception does not mitigate liability. Consequently, the court dismissed the petition, reinforcing the obligation of taxpayers to adhere strictly to GST regulations to prevent tax evasion. Thanks for listening and consider subscribing to the channel. Well, that's all for today. Keep listening to Legal News by DLC.